How's it going, everybody? I'm the BTC Reaper, and my goal on this channel is to teach you how to reap the rewards of trading, whether the price is going up or down. How Spiderchain plans to build Ethereum on Bitcoin. A little deceiving there, but a prevailing difficulty with sidechains, which is what Spiderchain would be, is having a two-way peg, which would allow Bitcoin to be safely transferred to the sidechain and back without requiring a centralized middleman. The Spiderchain works as a proof-of-stake layer 2 on Bitcoin, where you stake Bitcoin on Bitcoin in decentralized multi-sigs. Entities that manage decentralized multi-sigs are called orchestrators, who run both a Bitcoin node and a Spiderchain node. With every request to move Bitcoin to the Spiderchain, a new multi-sig is created that's controlled by a random subset of 100 participants within the staker set, kind of like how Algo's done. In many ways, the Spiderchain operates much like Ethereum, is EVM compatible, has a 12-second block time, uses proof-of-stake consensus mechanism to secure the network. Its EVM is also fully equivalent, meaning existing Ethereum dApps can be easily transferred over to the network by developers, but unlike Ethereum, a malicious majority of orchestrators still cannot conspire to steal users' Bitcoin. The design is possible on the current Bitcoin core, so there is no soft fork or upgrade needed, unlike the drive chain proposal, which would require changing the Bitcoin code. So this is good because a lot of the Bitcoin core developers don't like changing the core, and you don't want to have a precedent for changing the core code, because that could be a slippery slope, and you could get into things like changing the number of max Bitcoin, which that could create multiple issues. SEC Setback has judge denies immediate access to Binance US software. In a court hearing on Monday, the regulator had asked a federal magistrate judge to allow for an inspection of Binance US's technical infrastructure and to force the company to share other requested information as part of its ongoing case against the exchange. They cited concerns of people that may know the information they want leaving the company. But the federal magistrate said he wasn't inclined to allow the inspection at this time. Instead, he said the SEC should come up with tailored requests and speak with additional witnesses. Special attention is being paid to Shifu, a custody platform rebranded earlier this year from Binance Custody. The request for an inspection of Binance's software was to understand the role that Shifu had been playing in facilitating the alleged illegal transfer to shift the coins from US to foreign countries. There's not very much here left, but that's about all there was to that story. FTX bankruptcy estate sues Sam Bankman-Fried's parents over millions in misappropriated funds. The bankruptcy estate of FTX has taken legal action against Joseph Bankman and Barbara Fried, the parents of Sam Bankman-Fried. The debtors of FTX and its affiliated entity, Alameda Research, are also seeking to recover damages attributed to breaches of fiduciary duties and other alleged misconduct. As Bankman-Fried's parents, Bankman and Fried exploited their access and influence within the FTX enterprise to enrich themselves directly and indirectly by millions of dollars, and knowingly at the expense of the debtors in these Chapter 11 cases and their creditors, reads a 63-page court filing. The document provided insight into Bankman's use of the term family business, which he frequently used to refer to the FTX group, dating back to as early as 2018. The filing asserted that even as the FTX group faced insolvency, Bankman and Fried continued to profit substantially from the purported family business. Bankman's played a key role in perpetuating this culture of misrepresentations and gross mismanagement, and helped cover up allegations that would have exposed the fraud committed by the FTX insiders. And altogether, Bankman and Fried siphoned millions of dollars out of the FTX group of their own personal benefit and their chosen pet causes, reads the filing. In February 2022, Bankman and Fried reportedly acquired a luxurious 300,000 square foot property in the Bahamas. The court filing revealed that the total cash payment for this acquisition was $19 million, with all funds sourced from the debtors and none contributed by Bankman or Fried personally. Furthermore, the filing indicated that Bankman received millions in dollars of unearned gifts and real estate, traveled on privately chartered jets, expensed $1,200 per night hotel stays to the FTX group, and even appeared in a Super Bowl commercial while he wasn't really a part of the group. So onto the charts. We did try to push our support resistance from our previous pattern, so we are trying to break through. If we get our candle to break through tomorrow, that would be a positive sign. However, if we get stopped short here, we could start to see some red candles start to take over and see a little bit of a dip. So I would watch out for that possibility as well. But we are doing pretty decent. We got above our Fibonacci level like we said we needed to yesterday. Our stochastic is starting to dive, so it could break here and start to fall. If it makes a bearish cross and starts to fall pretty brutally, we could be in for a pretty strong downswing. Our RSI is heading up. Our VWAP's overall making lower highs, so it is in the bullish territory, but it has a bit of a divergence, so I'd be a little weary. We have a reversal arrow on the daily as well that could signal that we could get a rejection here as we are in a bit of an uptrend. So that is a little worrisome. Our momentum is coming up. It is pretty strong since our VWAP's continuing bullish. The money flow is in a slight bullish trend right now, so if it gets a higher high and continues, that would be very positive for us. Over on Bitcoin dominance, we are kind of hitting this resistance here. We'll redraw that. So we are kind of hitting that. So it would be possible we could get a rejection. Our stochastic is getting a little bit of a divergence as we have a higher price action and lower stochastics. Our stochastic does have a bullish cross, so that does want to push us forward. Our RSI wants to push forward. The momentum wants to come up. It does have a green dot because our VWAP has a bullish strength. It did cross through that neutral. Our money flow is following the VWAP really closely, so we do have some confirmations of bullish strength with those. Those three things together, we could possibly push through this, kind of reject away. It would be possible to meet this 50.6. If we're able to break through that, our next stop would be around this 51.2 to around the possible like 51.8 zone, at which point we'd probably see a pretty decent move up. Over on Bitcoin futures, we do still have this double bottom still possibly in play. Our reversal arrow, we do have a reversal arrow print in here, so that could bring us down. Be a little weary of that. Our stochastic is starting to bend still. RSI is starting to bend. The momentum's kind of starting to bend out. It is running up pretty decently, but the VWAP's starting to come out. The money flow is still in a bit of a bearish trend here as we're getting lower lows and not quite higher highs. If we're able to make a new high, that would be positive. That could signal that we could see further continual price action up. We do have a gap around this 29K level that we could move towards still. So we have a few things yet. We could fill that gap. We would hope to get rejected at that gap and fill the 20K gap at that point. But if that doesn't happen, our next gap would be around this 34 to 36 zone, which would be the top of this pattern. Over on Bitcoin for the daily, we are pushing into the golden pocket for our Fibonacci area. Our stochastic is pretty flat. Our RSI is trying to come up. Our VWAP is overall getting lower highs, so I would keep an eye on this. Our momentum is trying to push forward as our VWAP is still bullish. Our money flow is trying to come up. We're in a slight uptrend, so that is positive. If this continues, we could continue. These golden pockets are very manipulative. They could bring us up very quickly, and then we could get spiked right down very quickly too. So keep that in mind. We are in this zone. They are something to be very weary of. Our next move would likely be some resistance around this 27, almost 28K level, as that's where our next higher volume node on our volume profile is. After that, we would probably move to this 29.2 and then the 30K-ish. If we break that 30K zone, that would be our point of control. That would be a good move up. We are above our value area low, so our point of control is our next spot that we would move towards. But we could come towards it, and then get rejected by some previous resistance. So that is still in play. Keep an eye on that. Our RSI is trying to come up, momentum's trying to come up, and money flow is trying to come up, so overall the daily is looking decent. Over on the 4 hour, we have a little bit of bearish divergence that isn't highlighting yet. If you don't know what bearish divergence is yet, hit the like, hit the subscribe, and join us with that Discord link up above or in the description down below. Our momentum's overall falling, price is moving up, we're getting lower highs on our momentum. We have a double red dot here as our VWAP is breaking into the bearish territory, so that could bring our momentum even lower. Our stochastic has a bearish cross here, so that could weaken our RSI. So overall, we're not looking too positive. The money flow did not manage to break above like this. If I can get my cursor in the right spot, 6-7 zone, and we did curl away from it. So that is a bit of a resistance area, and we are starting to reject from it. Watch if we break this support, as we've touched it twice, well, 3 times from breaking that zone. So if we break it this time, we could start a bearish trend and see lower price action. Over on the 2 hour, you see that bearish divergence actually highlighting. The stochastic is trying to push up. The VWAP is in the bearish territory. Our money flow is trying to get a bit of a curl away from that neutral. Our stochastic is trying to get a run up. So we are looking a little positive here on the 2 hour to push away and invalidate any possibility of a double top, kind of like we did last night where we just pushed away and then broke up. So we could have a similar trend go. We could have this possible double top, go sideways, break up, and that could be the kind of trend we see. Our momentum has bearish divergences, same with the stochastic. I'm not sure why it's not connecting all these, but our momentum's overall coming down. Our stochastic's pretty beat down. It does want to get around up here though. Our RSI is trying to push up. The money flow wants to make a little bit of a bounce off of this 8-8 zone. If we're not able to break through this 8-8 to the bearish side, then we would likely maintain bullish momentum. Our VWAP is trying to push forward after crossing into the bullish territory. That is giving our momentum a green dot. So overall, the 1 hour does look pretty decent for some continual upside. I would watch if the VWAP starts to flop over though. If that does happen, we could get some action to the downside. Over on graph on the daily, we are starting to break, hourly, now we're on the daily, we are starting to break away from our pattern. So we're getting a little bit of a preemptive breakout. I would be cautious, as last time we did that, we did end up breaking back in. But this could be a signal that we could see continual price movement up. This could push us toward our point of control area, Our golden pocket on this is probably quite some distance away. Yeah, it's way up there. So overall, we did have a descending trend. We did have a bearish flag. Our bearish flag mostly played out. So since we are breaking back into it, I'm going to delete it, as it seems we are not going to respect its resistances. Our down channel is seeming to break out, so we could see continued price action up. It would be the width of this channel, which would probably take us around this 10-cent zone. So if we're able to maintain that 10-cent zone and see continued price action and green candles upwards, then it would be likely we would move to this point of control here. If we manage to hit the point of control and break through, that would be positive. But if we don't fill lower gaps before hitting the point of control, I think it could be a little more likely we would see more of the market pull away from that zone. Not financial advice. It's not guaranteed. We'll have to evaluate how the market looks. That's just my speculation right now. Over on the 4 hour, it looks like we could potentially start to roll away. Stochastic is starting to fall off. Our RSI is starting to curl away. We do have a red dot that could push us lower. Our momentum is starting to curl away. VWAP is getting lower highs even though price continues up. So we are seeing a little bit of a divergence there. We're seeing divergence with momentum as well, so that's not very good. Our VWAP is heading back toward the neutral and could break into the bearish territory. Our money flow is rejecting away from the neutral and falling more toward the bearish territory as well. If this continues on our lower time frames, it's very likely we'll see a retracement. Now the retracement could just be a move back to support, which would be the top of this pattern, but if we don't get a strong bounce off of that support, it is very likely we could come back into the pattern. Again, we did get a preemptive breakout. Our stochastic is overall starting to curl down here, so we could get a bearish breakdown and see it start to spill over. Our RSI is starting to curl away. We have a double red dot here on our momentum. We have a red dot on RSI. So overall, everything's signaling downside. The money flow is in the bullish territory. We got some new highs, but we're struggling to get past this like 12-8, 13 zone. So if we don't manage to break above it with some strength, it is very likely we'll start to pull back as our VWAP is breaking into the bearish territory, and we do have a potential of a bearish candle formation here, even though we have a long lower shadow candle that should signal bullish action. We are getting a red candle pretty strong right after. So that could signal that the bulls kind of used up all their strength. Over on the 1 hour, our stochastic has a bearish divergence. Our momentum's overall pushing lower. RSI is starting to push lower. Our stochastic was falling pretty decently. It does want to make a little bit of a curl up, so hopefully it can continue forward. Our money flow is starting to curl away, so overall our money flow is starting to come out. If that trend continues, we could see further downside. Our VWAP is in the bearish territory currently. It did break bullish momentarily, went flat, and kind of rejected away. So if we curl away here and don't break through the neutral, we could set up a bit of a bearish trend, which could set us up to break this support. So I would keep an eye on it very closely. Over on Anchor for the daily, we haven't quite broken into a little bit of a break into our pattern, but not very strong yet. Our stochastic does want to curl up. Our VWAP is trying to bounce off the neutral. The momentum's kind of tight here. Our money flow is getting a little bit of a bullish trend, but it's starting to go flat. So overall, we do have some possibility to push forward, but things are looking a little indecisive right now. Over on the 4 hour, we have a reversal arrow here that could end up bringing us down. We do have a gap up we made, so we could end up filling that. We have 2 gaps up now. I believe 3 if you look at the lower time frame, so that could set up some bearish pressure. Stochastic is starting to round off. Our RSI is coming up. Our money flow is pushing forward. Our momentum's coming up, but the VWAP is starting to round away. So if the VWAP loses strength here, we could start to set up some bearish action. Over on the 2 hour, we are kind of in an ascending triangle here, so that could help propel us forward. We do have this gap up here around that 1923 yet. It is very possible we could make a move, fill that gap. This triangle could take us like right to that gap too, so that's 2 things pointing to that area. We could possibly see a push up, fill that, and then a possible rejection from there. If we reject and break this support, we could see continued bearish action. Our stochastic is trying to push forward. Our RSI is pretty flat. The momentum is starting to round away, and the VWAP is sloping down pretty aggressively, so it could break into the bearish territory soon. Our money flow is bullish, but it's struggling to get past this 5 zone, so if it doesn't break through this zone with some strength and continues to pull back, we could set up a bearish trend if we see a lower low beyond these 2 points here. So watch out for that as well. Over on the 1 hour, I believe, yeah, this is where we have lower gaps. So keep those price points in mind. We have that 1729 and that 1830 lower gap. So even though we have that higher gap to fill around that 1924, we do have lower gaps as well. We do have a higher gap above at about 1949 as well. So if we hit that 1924 and continue forward, we could fill that gap and then possibly see a big goofy double top and reject away. Our money flow on the 1 hour is in the bearish territory. We do have somewhat of a bullish trend trying to form, so if we push up here, that would be positive for us. Our VWAP is breaking into the bearish territory. We're going to need that to round up back into the bullish territory as well if we're going to continue up from here. Otherwise, we would be in jeopardy of breaking that bullish pattern and not seeing it play out yet. Our momentum is starting to curl away with a red dot, so overall we are a little iffy. If we start to see stronger red candles, we could break the support and invalidate a move to the upside right now. Over on XRP for the daily, we are breaking above our point control here as well. Our stochastic does have a bit of a bullish cross, but doesn't have much room to roll, so it's probably going to just hang out here. Our RSI is heading up. Our VWAP is getting slight higher highs and pushing forward, so that is a little more positive than some of our other coins. Our momentum is trying to push forward, and our money flow is trying to push forward as well. It's not quite yet in a bullish trend, but it has the possibility to become in one. If we get another green candle and we get a higher point on this money flow, we could start a bullish trend that could push us forward. Over on the 4 hour, you can see, and pull this pattern over too, that way we can see our support resistances. We are starting to pull back toward our support level that we turned into support today. We could end up testing this. If we break through the support, then this pattern would still be in play. We could see it still play out and drag us lower. However, if we get bounced and move to the upside and break through, this pattern could get invalidated. Our stochastic is trying to run up, but it's starting to curl over, so it's likely to start to pull away. We do have a little bit of a bearish divergence that could form here, so I would keep an eye on that as our stochastic's getting a little lower. Doesn't, not very much lower, but I would watch out. Our RSI is starting to curl away, momentum's starting to curl away, our VWAP's overall trending out, the money flow's starting to trend out, so if that money flow breaks bearish and the VWAP flips to the bearish side, it's likely we could get a pretty decent push to the downside, as other indicators are pointing down as well. Over on the 2 hour, we have a little bit of bearish divergence highlighting, so kind of like I was saying on the 4 hour, our RSI is starting to point down. We have a double red dot here on our momentum. It's kind of hard to see with the red dot on our RSI, but those all are signaling that we could get a drop down. Our VWAP is starting to break into the bearish territory. Our momentum is pushing pretty decent, but with that red dot, it could start to push lower, especially with the VWAP being bearish. Our money flow wasn't quite able to get past an 18, and it is meeting some sort of support about 14. So if it holds this 14 level and breaks that 18 level, we could see continued price action up. However, if it just kind of flops over and breaks this 14, that could signal that we could see lower price action. Over on the 1 hour, we are in a bit of an up channel, so that is a bearish pattern, so watch out for that. Our stochastic is heading down, our RSI is overall heading out, money flow is starting to weaken, our VWAP's in the bearish territory, and our momentum is losing strength. So overall, the 1 hour looks a little iffy. We are trying to kind of flag here that could try to push us forward. If our money flow manages to maintain bullish momentum and the VWAP comes back into the bullish territory, we could get another swing up. If you look, we didn't need very much VWAP movement to get these swings. So if we get some quick swings with this VWAP, that could help stair step us up, but that would continue to form that ascending pattern. Over on the daily for algo, we do have a reversal arrow here that is signaling we could get a breakdown. We do have a bit of a bull flag within our bear flag, so we broke up and started to go sideways. So this could push us forward as well, so we're in a little bit of a weird spot. Stochastic is starting to push down, but it's not very strong. It could start to curl back up. Our RSI is trying to head back up. Momentum's trying to come back up. Our VWAP is slightly coming down. It's pretty flat here though. The money flow is maintaining slight bullish momentum, so it does have some bullish strength, but not a whole lot. Over on the 4 hour, we are in a slight uptrend, so that could end up being a bearish pattern and breaking us down. Our momentum's getting bearish divergences. RSI is inching out. Stochastic's starting to inch away. Our money flow is pushing bullish. We did push off the neutral a couple times, so that is good for us. Our VWAP is starting to curl away. So if the VWAP breaks into the bearish territory, that could drag us under, but if the VWAP gets a decent bounce, we could continue forward. Over on the 2 hour, you can see we might have a little bit of an ascending triangle forming here, so that could push us forward. Our stochastic wants to head up, RSI is kind of starting to curl away, so it could start to push down, even though the stochastic wants to give it strength. Our money flow is starting to round away overall, so watch out. If it breaks this like 14.7 zone, we could see a push to the downside. Our momentum is trying to come up, but it's starting to round away, as our VWAP's getting close to neutral, and it looks like it does want to break, so I would keep an eye on these lower timeframes and watch out if the VWAP starts to push bearish. Over on the 1 hour, stochastic has bearish divergences and is starting to push away. Our RSI is starting to push away. The momentum is a little iffy. We are overall pushing up, so that is good for us, but our VWAP is starting to round away. So it's going to be pretty dependent on how this candle closes. If it closes red and we get another red candle, it's likely this VWAP could break bearish and we could start to break down from here. Thank you for watching tonight's video. I hope you have a wonderful night.